All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regular session meeting for August 15th, 2023. It is 7 o'clock. I call this meeting to order. May I have roll call, please?
Mayor Orndorff?
Here.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Here.
Vice Mayor Suey?
Here.
Commissioner Watson?
Here.
Commissioner Romanek?
Here.
Looking around the room, I don't see a chaplain or pastor in the house, correct? So if we could all just stand for the salute of the flag. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is being conducted in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975, was advertised, posted, and made available to the public as required by statute. The municipal clerk is directed to include a statement in the minutes of this meeting. Madam Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
We had several changes to the agenda, Mayor. So we had the addition of the presentation to item number 1 concerning Four Seasons. We had the addition of the minutes of the June 20th meeting for approval, the addition of the police department reports, the addition of ordinance on first reading, item 4, adding business manager title and salary. We had the addition of a resolution appointing the public agency compliance officer, being Miguel Mercado. We also had several removals. We had the removal of resolution item 4, adopting the UEZ loan policy. We had the removal of resolution item 5, authorizing an application to the New Jersey UEZ for first generation funds to establish a revolving loan fund. And we also had, during the work session, the removal of resolution 10, authorizing a non-binding referendum to be placed on the general election ballot. That's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I turned that off when I slid it. I'm sorry. Thank you. All right, and presentations?
Yes, so presentation on Four Seasons development by the engineering department. So the floor is yours.
Mr. Johnson?
Wayne Johnson. And Michelle Notat.
And Michelle?
I think so. I'll get it. You're using the screen, right?
Michelle, can you make sure that mic's on, please? Might take a few seconds. There we go. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Jeannie, Brock, staff. Thank you, residents. I just wanted to give you a brief overview, like a history, a little timeline for the Four Seasons development. When the current administration took office, we began what we called enhanced inspections in all developments, which were pretty much hands-on inspections. We checked water services, hydrants, bacteria test. We tested corporation stops, water valves in the street to make sure they operated. We videoed storm lines, sanitary gravity lines to check to make sure, the condition, because we had no idea what we were walking into. Four Seasons was one of these developments where we did the enhanced inspections. I guess I want to start off by saying in construction, one of the greatest enemies of a contractor is time because of financing cost and labor cost. Contractors constantly seek ways to cut cost and time, and Torresdale was a roadway that suffered from the compression of the time. They built on top of unconsolidated, unacceptable subgrades. This is a condition that this administration inherited, as well as the engineering department. The roadway was so unacceptable, it was a hazard to drive on. There were waves and depths, over 6 inches deep. Numerous inspections, coordination, and meetings with the contractors, the developers, eventually resulted in the complete reconstruction of that roadway. And that work alone took over a year to get that done. It wasn't an easy task, but we did get it done. So Four Seasons right now stands at, I think, 190 some homes constructed, with 56 more homes planned for Phase 3D, which, by the way, is not approved yet. We're still reviewing the plans. We halted the approval of that project because of safety issues that weren't completed, such as, roadway, streetway lighting that we found to be, unacceptable. Like, I have friends that live at Four Seasons, and they would tell me of the condition. And when I started looking, I said, well, this isn't really right. There's only lights 400 feet apart. They're not bright enough. So with Commissioner Sui's help, we contacted Atlantic City Electric, and they hired a subcontractor to evaluate the lighting at Four Seasons. And I don't want to mess up Michelle's PowerPoint that she has, but that's later down the road. But maybe we should look at your PowerPoint now before I keep going.
So these are the pre-existing conditions in Phase 2D, specifically Torresdale Street.
Can you move the microphone closer?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Mark.
You might as well read it through. Right?
So this is Torresdale. There is several locations of ponding. You'll see in the next couple slides some examples of severe ponding, especially in front of residents' driveways. This was a repair job prior to our final repair. The contractor did come back out, and this was his final result, and obviously this was not acceptable to us, our department. So this is how things were prior to the final repair, if that makes sense. Here's another example of ponding and curbing in poor condition as well, uneven pavement. And these are examples of the waving that we saw in the roadway of random sinking. Like Wayne said, there were up to 6 inches of uneven depth, potholes, bumps, lumps, you name it, uneven patching, repair. So these are just examples of what we were dealing with the full length of the street. Here's an example of a 4-inch uneven pavement. It's kind of hard to see, but it's in there. And then there's this example of a large uneven pavement with poor patching. This was, again, throughout that roadway before we went in and identified those locations that were in not good quality, not good condition, to make repairs for base paving. So this is the reconstruction and repaving of Phase 2D on Torresdale Street when we came in and said, okay, these are everything that we need. This is the punch list of what needs to get done just for Torresdale Street. And mind you, this took a year to have done. This was a long, laborious process for, I don't even know how the length of the road was at this point, but it was entirely too long for entirely too short of a road.
And that there, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
The contractor asked me to mark out areas that, they thought were okay, and I marked out areas that were unacceptable, and almost the entire roadway is painted white. And I'm sure the residents can appreciate that, being out there. I mean, the whole road was a disaster. I don't know how it happened. They built on top of, uncompacted, unsuitable subgrades. They tried to repair it numerous times, and none of the repairs ever worked. Eventually, we had them mill out the whole thing and reconstruct it. They had a local paving contractor that's, well known in the area come in and, redo everything.
This is just an example of boxing out some repairs that were beyond just milling, that we asked them to take down to subsurface and reconstruct. Again, all on Torresdale. This is another example of these locations. And this is kind of an overview shot of that roadway, looking from, I guess that's the north end, down towards the existing portion of Torresdale. And you can kind of see what it looks like out there, what it did look like out there. Absolutely chaos for a road that was already completed.
Right.
In their minds, not to us, in their minds.
This is probably the worst roadway I've seen in 40 years of engineering. We inherited it, but at the end of the day, we fixed it, but it was considerable cost to the department and time and effort.
So this is example of base paving. What they ended up doing as a final result at this point, surface course and road adoption has not happened yet. But this is the base layer that is currently out there now. This has been accepted by the city in terms of repair condition. We're happy with it. It shouldn't have taken this long, but we are happy with it now. And then final surface paving will key in, as you can see in this picture. There is a lip, and that's where your final paving, your surface course will match into the existing paving. Again, this is the full stretch, kind of the opposite of that picture, the before and after. This is the stretch looking back up towards the existing portion of Torresdale, where we took over and stopped the truck on everything. You can see the manholes brought up to grade, even paving, and it's a little wet out there in this picture, and there's no ponding, there's no any dipping, crazy curb lines, cuts, patches. And then this is an example of where we had to key in to the rear. I believe this is Dittman Street, where the workers are walking. They had to key in, so they just made grade with the subsurface patching, again, to key in and to make all the grades match in acceptable, especially around a handicap ramp, and to make sure there was flow and gutter lines were appropriate. Again, final paving will go on top of this, seal it up, and everything will be locked in tight. Again, this is just an example of that joint a little bit closer up, that everything matches into grade. So when that surface paving, that final pavement will go down across Dittman and Torresdale, it'll be smooth, there's no lips, there's no bumps. So these are typical items that we've dealt with throughout the development. Some of these have been corrected, some of them have not, but I think it's important for us to emphasize that these are some of the typical things in construction that should have been handled and should not be difficult to have done. So I'll just go through these. Crooked inlets, I mean, you can see that a mile away, at least I can. Those are just installs of basic inlets, and we do state projects all the time. Various contractors, they don't install inlets like this, so we had to fight to have them corrected. I believe this one is,
Right,
this specific
corrected,
one.
yeah.
Crooked fire hydrants.
Now, if I may.
Yeah.
This hydrant here, we brought it to our attention, I mean, numerous times, told them to, dig down to the base, 90, straighten it up, loosen the joints. They didn't do it. They went and poured the sidewalk, they did the driveway apron, they boxed themselves in, so they made it like 10 times more difficult to repair. Eventually they did repair it, but a hydrant should never be put in like that. We have the firemen here. I'm sure they don't appreciate that. A hydrant setting like that, it should never be installed that way. And I don't even think it was the right hydrant. They had the wrong hydrants on the job. Now we gave them a model number to make sure they have all the right hydrants for the next phase. I don't think the Storch is on that one yet, but we're coordinating, to those details, with their request at the fire department to help them.
So this is a connection laying in
Curb
water.
stop, yeah.
Curb stop.
It was leaking.
It was leaking and it was laying in water. The next picture just emphasizes it. There's Wayne's foot in the bottom left of that picture for emphasis on depth. This was pretty typical along Torresdale and throughout the development, but this was taken, I believe, on Torresdale.
It's Torresdale.
There was a lot of water. The next slide here shows that they actually had to bring in a Vector truck to remove said water from the leaks to get the sub-base dry in order to make grade and compaction and have everything stacked on top of each other appropriately. Again, this isn't something that we have to do on a normal job basis. For instance, state-funded projects, those contractors understand this. Obviously, there needs to be inspection, but this was a lot of hand-holding.
So in this picture, like they're doing hydro excavation, they didn't put in the tracer wire on the surfaces. We had to have them excavate the surfaces, put the tracer wire in, so our guys could trace the line if there was ever a break, so they know where it's at. So they missed like key components like that during the work. So those are things we check for all the time, but I don't know how it got done in the past. They missed that. So they had to have to do every service, every curb box, run a tracer wire to the house. So those kind of things got missed. That's just standard construction. We don't have an explanation of why it wasn't done, but it's done now. This here, this is just poor contractor coordination. There's a manhole in Bustleton. They didn't coordinate the top cone diameter with the manhole frame. It never set right. They had to reset it numerous times. It was only hanging on the precast, but like an inch on each side. So they had to repair that. That was something we found also that shouldn't have been done.
Just example of broken, poor condition curbing, Belgian block split, uneven, not acceptable to the city. Very simple stuff. Again, this is an example of a missing curb, piece of Belgian block, just downright missing, and non-compliant ADA ramp in terms of grading. And the next one, there's a missing detectable warning pad, which you can see in the prior. That is acceptable to us, the pad. There's not one on this one. So again, simple housekeeping stuff. We had to correct and go back and check.
This here is another example of, accelerated construction. That there's a corporation stop, a wet tap onto the 12-inch diameter ductile iron main, and they failed to put in the stiffener in the corporation where it connects to the poly pipe, which resulted in a collapse of the service and a leak. That's something that should never happen. A stiffener is just standard practice. They skipped that part. We found it. We repaired it. I think that's the repair there. Cut in a piece of copper and a corporation.
So these are current outstanding items that exist today. If you go out there, you can see them throughout the development, specifically all of phase 2, I believe A through D. These items are still outstanding, and that we've been made aware of by residents, obviously our own observation from inspections, and the contractor has been made aware of all of these items. So first and foremost, lighting plan. This is the developer's proposed lighting plan on their site plan submission to, I believe, zoning board. They have 9 proposed lights. For due diligence purposes, our department sent their lighting plan out to Atlantic City Electric, and they sent it out to a subcontractor, I forget their name. Acuity brand. And they actually submitted a full design of lighting for, this is phase 3, I don't know if I clarified or not, this is phase 3, the new part that they want to start construction on. And we see as a comparison, this is the plan that Atlantic City Electric provided us, their sub-consultant. There's a dramatic difference from 9 lights to 21 lights. So all those red dots are designed lights. It's kind of hard to see on here. You can see the lumens, the foot candles of where the light reaches. There's significantly more than double. So this is just an example of what lighting is appropriate in future phases that we do not have in prior phases. And we've made that contractor and developer aware of this, and not much has been done for that. Another outstanding item, exposed electrical wires. This is obviously a hazard in itself, obviously an eyesore, but definitely a hazard and unacceptable. Back to lighting, I mean, we have the lights out there finally, but they're crooked. And on top of that, there's exposed wire up and they're not connected or on. So we don't know the status of power to them. We don't know if electric has been run to them or not, but the poles are out there, so that's a start. This is just an example, a cut detail of the lights that we're supposed to have, obviously upright and plumb. This is the irrigation pump for the pond that they considered was being treated. HOA called this treatment. It is not. It is clearly a pump. I don't know if you want to elaborate on what it is, specifics.
That's the basin, stormwater basin C. It's in the northeast corner behind Cottage Street. They're pulling irrigation water out of there via a pump, pressurizing an irrigation main. It's not being treated or cleaned up in any manner. We brought that to a lot of people's attention, including NJDEP, the health department, and no one seems to really regulate the treatment of that. We continue to push for treatment. I mean, farmers out our way, they have irrigation ponds and they run it through sand filters all the time. So it's not like we're asking for anything new or different. Sometimes they even use ultraviolet disinfection to clean the water up. So we'll continue to ask for that. I don't know if it's within our jurisdiction, but we're asking for it. We've pushed so much for that on the next phase. They completely did away with using ponds for irrigation water, and they went to deep wells, 5 horsepower wells, which is a good way to irrigate. And if they don't want to treat the water, maybe they should convert the wells on the other portions of the development. Then they don't have to worry about the contamination in the ponds. I mean, it's still an issue, but at least they're not spraying it on your lawns.
And this is just example of the pond overflow from the basin that they're pulling irrigation from. This is just an example, a very small scale of what the ponds look like out there. This is a little bit more dramatic than what is out there, but they are consistent in this status. Obviously, larger ponds, they're not completely covered over with growth. Anything else on that?
No, that's good.
And then this is a basin along Wharton. We've asked them numerous times to remove the trees that should not be in a stormwater basin. Obviously, they're growing well and alive. They have not been removed. Maintenance has not been done on this basin, and we don't even know if the basin currently works, I would say, because of this lack of maintenance. And lastly, this is along Wharton. I believe the sidewalk is new. It was a missing portion connecting phase 2, pick a letter C, to phase 2D. And this sidewalk was installed. However, we have street trees here, and you can see they're not in great condition, dying, in the wrong location.
Well, what happened is the contractor utilized the tree planting easement to run his utilities. He didn't leave any room to plant the street trees. Now, we warned him about this on the next phase to leave significant room for the trees. We had nowhere to plant the trees, so we decided to put them along the back of the homes for lack of a better place to put them. And now all the trees were dead. So I don't know how many were there, at least 20. I was out there with Commissioner Suey, we saw it. Usually landscape contractors will water the trees for the first year to give them a good chance at a start. These obviously weren't taken care of. Now they all have to be replaced this fall.
Plus lack of seeding and unstable ground and washout into our unprotected stormwater inlets that are being full of sand and debris. That's it for our presentation.
That's all we had. I'm sure if you have questions from the residents or the commission, we'd be glad to help. You know, we're here, we work for the residents, we don't work for the developer, work for the city. We're trying to help everybody. So I don't know if it's appropriate to answer questions or.
I think that's fine. I don't know if you could come up to the podium just so you can be on the record. I'd appreciate that.
Mayor, do you want them to use this microphone?
It doesn't matter. Maybe.
You want to sit over there?
Unless Michelle and Wayne want to come over on this one, and then the residents can stand there if that's just easier, so we're not back and forth.
You guys go over there so you can answer any questions.
Just state your name, your address, and you can ask your questions.
My name is Dr. Maureen Ryan. Now I live at 48 Wharton Street in the first phase of the new development. Pardon me, Ryan. I want to thank Wayne and Melissa.
Michelle.
They've taken numerous calls from not myself, but all of our neighbors with our concerns. They did a great job of detailing some of the major concerns, but some that are missing are that it is not ADA compliant at our mailboxes. We were told we would have mailboxes. We went without mail for 6 weeks until we got mailboxes it was a kind of a craziness. Now the mailboxes are not lit. They're on a curb that's about 8 inches high, so you have to step up 8 inches to get to it. Not lit, inaccessible. We addressed an ADA compliance issue. My friend Cindy, who's here, her husband's disabled. He's not able to get up the ramp, nor is he able to turn around, nor is he able to get to his mailbox because it is not ADA compliant. We are a 55 community. We do have people who have special needs, and our homes are ADA compliant. We would hope our community. That's a big one. Behind our home, and I know that the engineering department's been out. I've been working with the County Mosquito Commission as well as the Department of Health. We have standing water in a waterway that is not graded properly. We have addressed it through our homeowners association for 18 months. We get, he's going to fix it, he's going to fix it, it's going to fix it. It hasn't been fixed. We now have 4 different types of larvae in our backyard, feet from our back door, and we have active adults. So we're grateful to the County Commission and Mosquito Commission for working diligently to protect the health of not only myself and my household, but all of our neighbors. But I'm telling you, we have 5 to 6 inches of standing water in our backyard, such that ducks come and swim in there. It is not a pond. It is not a water reservoir. It is a water easement. So it's very concerning. A swale, thank you. That's my husband. Let the record show that's Mr. Mark right now, my husband. Again, our big thing is that every time we address something, there's a quick reaction by the developer. You mentioned contractor, we just know developer. For example, this week, he's already worked with the landscape guy. They're going to do a quick fix and throw some dirt in the backyard. That's what we were told by the landscape guy today. He's going to make a different proposal, but because we knew we were going to be heard tonight, I don't know if he's here, I don't know who he is, but we're going to throw some topsoil in there. That's not the fix. The pitch is wrong. It needs to be engineered for the safety and well-being of our element. So we've gone through quick fixes. We address something. He throws a ramp by the mailboxes and calls it handicap accessible, and it's not. There's this problem with the swale. He knew we were coming because I asked to be heard tonight. We're going to put in some dirt. So what we're coming to, and these are my neighbors, you can see that there is a concern. We're just asking for the city to support us in making sure that our homes are safe and that we can stay healthy and be productive members in the community. I have to tell you, some of these presentations tonight scare the bejesus out of me because we didn't know of a lot of those issues. So we're learning of more tonight, and I just, as a matter of record, I'd like to say, I'm hoping in the years to come that we don't have issues with our foundation for all the water and things that we're having issues with in our community. So anything that you as the city can do to support us in our active lifestyle at Four Seasons would be greatly appreciated. And I can speak for myself and my family. We're grateful for having this opportunity to speak tonight. So thank you.
Good evening. My name is Don Leahy. I live at 43 Wharton Street. And most of the photos you showed tonight were on Torresdale. Wharton Street had similar problems until they got paved. Where I live at is at the end of Wharton Street, which you showed a picture of the field. It's really bad back there. The grass is really high. I was forced to cut next to my house because of the safety issue with all the bugs and rats and whatever you want to call it. Also, I have a cracked apron that I've been trying to get fixed, but Ryan Holmes has informed me that it's a developer issue, and as you guys already know, I don't have to tell you, he's not addressing it. Also, before they put the cul-de-sac in, there's just mounds of dirt back there from Ryan Holmes where they dug out basements, so we got nothing but mounds of dirt back there. And then they put the cul-de-sac in, and also now we got additional mounds of dirt back there. It's also become a dumping ground. There's a lot of illegal dumping back there of trees, sod, also back there, which we both notified the HOA, but it went to nothing came closer to it. So I'm just asking if I can have my broken apron put on record, that the developer be responsible for it before any portions of his money's released or go to the next phase. So that's all I have to do. Thank you very much.
Could we have your address, please?
43 Wharton Street.
Can you write that down? Got it. Thank you.
Mark Ridenauer, 48 Wharton Street. I have a question to the commissioners. You obviously have seen the presentation that was done by the engineering team. You've heard from the residents here that we are suffering from a lot of issues with this development. What is our recourse? What is our recourse as a community? What is our recourse as residents? This developer has applied for additional homes that are supposedly going to be built very soon. I know that approval has been put on hold, but I would ask this governing body to make sure that this punch list of everything that's been identified by your engineering team, the issues that have been pointed out by the residents here, there are obvious problems with this developer. I think you pointed out very appropriately that time is of the essence here with this developer, and they were taking shortcuts and not paying attention, and we as residents are suffering. So I'd like to know what the next steps are so that we are assured that our problems will be resolved.
Realizing that there are some areas that we have authority over and some that we don't. So engineering, of course, is out there nearly daily. We have our inspector out there Wayne goes out there a lot. I go with Wayne occasionally to look at some of these problems, and you are correct, they are scheduled to do that, and that is not going to be permitted till the stuff that is fixed that we can control. Additionally, we met with the solicitor today. He can get a little more into it if he so desires, but we're going to try to use as much as we can with code enforcement where we can do that.
Right.
So our main thing when we do our inspections is to make sure that everything is up to standard when it is built, right? So we want to make sure that everything is acceptable when it's built. After it builds and it starts to deteriorate, you can see why we don't want to take infrastructure over with collapsed pipes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, when you have areas that aren't developed yet, they're kind of like, you know, like you mentioned the grass at the end of the cul-de-sac or whatever. It's really not a developed area. So can we force the developer to do it? I don't know, maybe. We can try, whether we can or not, I don't know. But we're certainly looking into it. We had a meeting today, and I don't know if you want to elaborate some more or not.
Well, you know, one thing is, the bond is not going to be released until they properly perform what they're required to do. We also, I'm sure, looking at the site plan and all of the details on the site plan where they got their approval to make sure that they're doing what they are supposed to do. I think the lighting plan and adherence to that was one of the things the engineer brought up. If they willfully refuse to complete conditions or aspects of the site plan, there may be recourse that the zoning officer would have for not complying with the zoning. So the city's looking into every possible tool that it has to make sure that this job gets done and gets done right.
Just one more thing, I mean, you can see how long it took us to get them to comply
Right.
with that one stretch of road. So it's not like they're being really cooperative all the time, right? But we're doing everything we can and putting as much pressure on them as we can.
As a town, are we legally able to withhold the approval on the additional homes as a result of noncompliance to
I
their
believe
site plan?
they've tried to come before the planning board, and based on the reports that engineering has gotten from the previous, phases, the planning board did not approve their next phase because we were like, I think your residents were here and we're like, hold up, we don't want more issues. So the planning board itself is aware of the issues that are ongoing, and we don't feel comfortable allowing them to proceed with phase 3. So we're doing what we can to hold them accountable for the issues that they already have before they can even go into phase 3. I think that was going to be one of my questions is what is the recourse that we have against the developer. And I think that you have the support here as the city, the engineers department. They're doing as much as they can, and that you have their support. Obviously, the planning board hears what they're saying and is adhering to their reports, and also putting pressure on the developer to, hey, fix what you've already made issues with the residents.
Right.
So we want to not move forward with any more ongoing issues.
Well, I appreciate the situation with the planning board because that's sort of a separate issue. All I would ask is that this town takes a look at the site plan that was presented and approved and holds this developer to every last line item on that site plan. That can be our only recourse as it relates to solving these issues. I don't even know what the foot candles were on the lights that were part of that site plan, but what they've currently installed is not bright enough, let alone barely enough lights. And to have streets that don't have lights on them is ridiculous. I can't imagine that the city approved a site plan that didn't have lights on it.
I think that just the communication between the community and the city and our engineering department is going to be very important moving forward, because hopefully, I hope for the residents, there's no other underlying issues that the city, the engineers are not aware of already. But if there does come something that's brought to our attention immediately, so they're able to address that with the developer.
Now, the only other issue that was mentioned here that was not fully further talked about was the mailbox issue. I don't know if those mailboxes were on the site plan when it was originally presented. We were told when we bought that we were going to have a mailbox in front of our house, and we discovered shortly after we moved in that mailboxes were going to be placed at the end of Torresdale or at the end of Frankfurt. So I don't know if those mailboxes were part of the site plan, but under the current circumstances, there are no lights and no covering to that mailboxes, and you can't even see a damn thing at night when you go get your mail. It is pitch dark. So I don't know if there's a way that we can force the developer, now that those mailboxes have been placed there, to put a light over them, but it is a horrible situation, not to mention that it should have a cover, based on the approval or the understanding that we know of the U.S. Postal Service.
Yeah, I have not reviewed the details of the site plan. My guess is it probably did not include
No, it didn't.
mailboxes, but there may be a contract claim that the residents would have against the developer if that was something that was promised and not performed.
I know, but a contract claim could take forever. I mean, that's the situation until we try to resolve that circumstance. I mean, this was something that was sort of thrown in at the last minute. I guess no one thought about it or whatever, and now we're suffering. And it really is a big problem, not only as it relates to ADA compliance, but also just being able to see to get your mail.
Understood. I think that, again, we appreciate the comments from the community, the engineering report, and everything that you guys brought to, our attention. It just goes, communicate with us, we'll communicate with you, and we'll continue to hold, developers
Yeah, to the site plan that was presented and approved.
accountable as we can, and continue putting pressure on. So I think that's really all we can do this evening as far as,
Right.
just moving forward.
And the swale behind my house, I can't imagine that was appropriately graded, because it is standing water. So again, that's what I'm saying about making sure that every line of that site plan is absolutely adhered to, needs to happen. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wayne and Michelle, do you have any other sorry.
Hi, good evening. Chris Budd, 7 Torresdale. Just wanted to touch on a couple of things. I really appreciate Wayne and the engineering department for all the help they've been giving us out there. One of my concerns has been the water quality for our irrigation. I know Wayne has tested it. It's a struggle we're having with our HOA, and that's really not the city's issue with that, but they say they're testing, they say the water's okay, but we can't even see the results. I don't know if the city or the health department can come in and test and give the results out. Otherwise, we're going to be looking at a lawsuit probably to try to see the results from these.
We tested before, Chris.
You gave me those numbers and
those
they were
numbers,
high.
yeah.
They're telling me they're just a little
We haven't
low,
seen
they're
any
low
new
now.
tests. Commissioner Sui, do you think it's appropriate we could pull another sample? I mean,
I don't see why we couldn't.
we tested in our own lab for the fecal. The ammonias we have to send out.
I mean, the fecals are really what I'm concerned
Yeah.
with. I mean, that's what we're putting on our lawns.
Yeah, we could pull
You know,
another
it's-
set of tests.
Yeah, do we pull them out of the lagoons or do we pull them out of the irrigation? Because
We could do both. We could get it out of irrigation and out of the ponds. I think that's what we did last time.
I think that's what everybody's general concern is, what's going on their lawns.
Right.
You know, I don't know if that's
I don't
the
see
same
any
as
reason
what's-
we can't test it, so.
Yeah,
Right. I'll get Sal to pull some samples.
we'd appreciate that, thank you. The other thing was, I understand that you put a stop work order on Phase 3. He's been working out there. The new streets are all cut in that next Phase 3. I have pictures on my phone I can forward to you. I took an aerial shot with a video, and he's been working. I know if he's been told not to, he is. So I know he doesn't make any money until there's houses built, and that's another issue. So it's just money outlay for him. But if he was told not to work, he's working.
You know, I always appreciate your
I
help,
try to
Chris.
give you a heads up.
Yeah, we went out there and we stopped him from working. Unfortunately, he has a soil erosion and sediment control plan that allows him to strip and grub.
Okay.
We told him he can't go any further. He does anything else, he's doing active grading and construction, fine grading.
Okay.
He's got stakes set up on road center lines, so we told him, was yesterday, they can't do anything else.
Okay.
We know that they don't have, they're working under their soil erosion permit, they don't have the controls set up. There's no silt fence, there's no entrance, controls for tire wipes or anything like that. We told, was it Paul Atlas from Ryan Homes, who's working with Barry directly, trying to get us to cut loose on that, but we told him we're not, moving on it.
Okay.
We also found out there's no escrow, for any of the work we're doing. They haven't posted escrow. I mean, the only real good news is we have the bond. We don't have them approval on Phase 3. We're gonna make them do everything they gotta do. Engineering was scheduled to go behind that home and take shots on the swale. I don't know if that ever happened yet or not. Just so we could determine the slope to get the water to run across there. It's obviously a settlement, issue. They didn't do something compacted or, whatever. We don't have a bond yet for phase 3.
Okay.
So there's no way they can, do anything other than what they've done so
Okay.
far. No bond, they can't do any work.
And what he's doing, he's not making any money at, so,
Yeah.
okay. All right, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Cirlante, 18 Torresdale. I'm the Schaefer section of Torresdale. And I'm going to credit Maureen Reidenauer with my next concern. In fact, because she put out a list of concerns on our local community Facebook page, and this one hasn't been addressed so far, and it's extremely concerning. I'm going to actually read her sentence. Inaccuracy and directions to new phases in the community. EMS does not have correct directions to new phase addresses, which has caused delays in response times to medical emergencies. That's totally unconscionable. And all of the new streets don't have street signs. So that's certainly exacerbating the situation. Totally inexcusable on whoever's part, and I'm guessing it's the developer. So, thank you, and thank you all for your support.
Hi, Scott Fishman, 61 Wharton Street. I've lived at Four Seasons for 12 years, so I've been through 3 phases of homes, Cahav, Schaefer, and Ryan, and Barry Belot's been around the whole time. Multiple phone calls from me, multiple emails from me. I'm famous for sending lots of emails. Most of you have probably received some from me before. I've spoken to him once, and that was about 10 years ago. I couldn't even get him to mow the fields adjacent to the properties for pest and bug control and for fire prevention. They're overgrown, they're clogging sewers, they're overgrowing the streets, and I can't get him to do that in 12 years of living out there. So I'm very happy to hear that things are on hold for phase 3. He has started. These are roads that are being cleared. He's not just worrying about erosion and other things. The pictures will show you. Chris can send them to you. He's making roads. So he's thumbing his nose at all of us. He does what he wants. So whatever we can do legally to sink some teeth into him. Maybe the next bond could be considerably higher than the current one that's being held for phase 2. And maybe you should be charging him to recoup fees for inspections, multiple return visits. Use the long arm of the law to its maximum level to penalize this guy, because I think he believes he's above the law. So thank you all for your help. Thank you, engineering. We appreciate everything you're doing to support us.
Absolutely. So, is there nobody else making comments this evening on Four Seasons? I want to thank the community for coming out and just ask that you guys continue to communicate with the city, as we'll continue to communicate with you as we make progress. As you have our support, and it's obvious that Michelle and Wayne are working very hard on your community to make it a safe community and make sure it's up to everything's compliant. I'm sure they know how to reach you at this point. I just, unfortunately, this is something, again, we've inherited as a commission, and it's not something we want to hear, but we're obviously all willing to work with you and do what we can. So you're welcome. Do you, Wayne or Michelle, have anything
One more
else
thing,
in
I mean,
closing?
we're working for, the residents of the city at the end of Wharton. We had them put in the temporary cul-de-sac because we didn't like the way it was left. That wasn't part of the plan. We made them put that in to make it better for the residents. Unfortunately, we went out there the other day, we saw they left piles of dirt, around the perimeter. We'll try and get them to do something about that. The lighting on phase 2D, I don't know that we can do this, but I'm pretty sure we can. We'll we can hold them to upgrading that lighting. Now that we know it's a problem, they're gonna fight us. We have their bond. I think that's the appropriate thing to do. Now we know it's deficient. The original phases, not much we can do about that, but we do have a bond for phase 2D, so we can look at that. And you know, if you have any other concerns, please get them to the engineering department. I mean, the more eyes and ears on the job, the better, you know, for everybody. So don't ever think any concern isn't, you know, valid enough to let us know. You know, let us know, because it's a big help to us. Thank you.
Thank you again to Wayne and Michelle for all you guys are doing for this community and just in the city in general. You guys are hardworking all the time. Do you want to move
Well,
on
with that, I'll
to
make a
bills?
motion to pay the bills.
Okay.
Second motion.
A motion and a second to pay the bills. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Make a motion to approve and dispense with the reading of the following minutes and to proceed with the regular order of business. June 20th, 2023, regular meeting.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve and dispense the minutes for June 20th regular meeting. Any comments? Jean, did you know if my,
Everyone was present.
okay, just roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Public comment on agenda items only. If the public has any comments on the agenda items, please come to the podium, state your name, questions, and please limit those comments to 5 minutes.
Okay. Hello, Mayor, Commissioners. Again, good to see you again. I've been here a few times. This is for agenda item 21, resolution in support of Zentigo of Franklin Park. This is for 1401 Wheaton. This is the building, the large, you know, the glass factory where we have 5 letters already, and we're all moving forward. It's been a little challenging with Atlantic City Power and Electric, kind of figuring that out there, but we're patient, and most of the groups are going to move forward. And this is the latest group. This one is looking for cultivation and manufacturing, but it's the difference in this group and the others
Point of
is
order, I don't-
What?
Excuse me. I don't know
21.
where you're at.
Speaking to
We
the
don't know where
agenda
you're at.
for, hold on, resolution of support. I got it, hold on.
You got it.
Sorry.
Which one is it? It's not 21.
21
It's
dash
21-21.1, item 1,
Okay.
right at the top of the page.
Thank you.
Zentigo.
Sorry.
Sorry
I knew
about
where
that.
you were.
I know. So this one is in 1401 Wheaton also. This one is particularly interesting because this one is going to be a large extractor. They actually have the equipment and storage sitting in Connecticut right now. So as soon as things can happen, you know, with the state and with the city, they'll like to move in, and it's going to be a large extraction capable of doing like 200 pounds a day, which is, when you add it up, it's a large number. It has a chance to be one of the larger, you know, facilities of the type. It's comparable to some of the large MSOs in terms of the equipment that's going to be in. So this is the one, maybe you know, starts, you know, 5 to 10 jobs, but if it grows effectively, you know, we could be looking at 20 to 30, you know, up to 40 jobs. It's really about, you know, meeting the capacity, and the distinction is that it has a high capacity equipment. It's about $2 million worth of equipment. So it's a bigger, you know, it's a good opportunity, and all the other groups, you know, as well, we're all moving forward. Just we have to deal with Atlantic City Power and Electric. It's always interesting to.
Has this company received their license from the state yet, approval?
No, we're still waiting on that. This company, what's also interesting is this is a company that also has a retail coming, where they're waiting on their license for the state on the retail, but they've secured their real estate, and so they're on an annual license. So this one would be vertically integrated, which means that it's a little bit more solid ground than, say, an independent manufacturing or cultivation facility.
They currently sell CDB oil online, correct?
CBD oil, and then one of the partners in it also has a subsidiary CBD company out of Connecticut, LASIK
Correct.
oil.
And I know that they went before the Franklin Township Board and they were denied as a letter of support. Why are they coming to Millville?
Yeah, no, that's not the case. No.
There was
in
like
fact-
39 denied. So that was one of them.
No, actually Franklin, Franklin, New Jersey, which is Somerset, actually has, gives their resolutions and their zoning letters en masse, so there is no board involved there. So they basically did a mass resolution, which we were included. There was no denial. There was never in front of a board. And then the letter, the zoning letter is also sent out that way. That's Somerset County.
Okay.
And, yeah, so there was no denial in this company or any company in Somerset,
So
New
they're
Jersey.
also looking to be in Franklin Township as well, or Somerset?
Well,
County?
we're in Franklin, Franklin Park, which is actually part of Franklin, New Jersey, Franklin Township, which encompasses
Okay.
Somerset and
Maybe
all
that
that.
was, okay.
Yeah, it's there. Well, there's 4 Franklins in New Jersey, so I get confused myself.
I always look the companies up online, so maybe
Yeah.
I had, okay.
Yeah, no,
I
there-
always like to ask.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, we're fully approved. This is
Okay.
actually the one that's in my family. Not that that makes a big difference, but so this is my wife's business. So she told me to come home with a resolution. So.
Okay. And does the board have any other questions or, I mean? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good evening, Patricia Kears, 409 Peach Drive, Millville. I have a question. Ordinance 18.4, the first reading, to establish a business manager. Does every department have a business manager?
There's someone in charge of every department. It's not necessarily the title of business manager.
Okay, does every person in charge of a department have this salary range?
Yes.
Okay.
Not this salary, I don't know, not this salary range exactly. They have a salary range, but not necessarily this one.
Okay. Well, is there anyone in this position currently?
No.
No one's in this position. So who manages that department? I don't understand what this is for.
Right now, there's a part-time manager there. We're moving it to a full-time position. This requires a little more qualifications than the one that we presently have.
Okay. So is it a civil service position?
Yes.
So it'll be posted on the civil service listing?
It'll be posted as required by whatever rules we have to comply with.
Okay. Then my next question is 21.3. It's the Revell LLC. I'm a little confused as to what, is this an upgrade to the current system?
I'll take this. Right now, it is bringing Revell, who is a contractor to us, in-house for 2 days a week. They will, I can tell you, they will be updating the IT system in the police department because it has needed it for a long time.
Is that communications?
Yes,
Okay.
communications and storage,
Right, so
computer storage.
is this moving it to a mesh system?
Honestly, I can't answer that for you, but I will get that answer and get a hold of you.
Okay. thank you.
Technically, honestly, I can't answer that.
Okay. And where in the budget would this come from?
This is coming out of the IT budget.
The IT budget, okay. Was there ever some kind of a grant for IT before?
In the past, I don't know, probably, but I don't know.
Okay. And then my next one is 21.6, I think. Yeah, 6, for the environmental work. Is this an addition to the environmental attorneys that we already have?
This is the environmental attorney that we have.
Okay. Is this an extension of his contract or their contract?
It's from the period of 1 January to December 31.
Okay. And this is the same group that we currently have?
Correct.
Okay. And, all right, I'm just very curious because I thought we already had them and wondered why we had to do it again.
For this year, 2022, this
His
is for next
contract-
year,
The contract
2023.
expired.
Contract, okay. And then I would also like to thank the commission for removing the non-binding resolution from the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kirsch.
Seeing nobody else, we close the public comment on agenda items only and go to petitions and letters.
Hey, I just need a motion to receive and file a letter from Commissioner Hewitt resigning as the mayor's designee to the planning board.
Move to receive and file.
Second motion.
I have motion second to receive and file a letter. Any questions or comments? Just want to thank Commissioner Hewitt for stepping in for me for a brief time as my daughter was going through surgery, and I wanted to make sure we had everything under control and she is healthy. So I appreciate you stepping on the board and filling in. I did return to the board last night, and it was one of the longest board meetings we had in a while. We were here till 11 o'clock last night, so good time to return. So again, thank you for just helping out. I appreciate you stepping up. I just need a motion, roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay, and on to reports of commissioners. Commissioner Romanek?
Yes, Mayor, you stole my thunder a little bit too early, but planning board was busy
Sorry.
last night. We had over 4 hours in City Hall, and I am so excited to be back right now. But as you can tell, planning board is moving along with a lot of businesses incoming. A lot are still on the back burner being waited to come through into the planning board, and that's where, you know, the citizens we came here before us. Planning board is very important to that. Steps and processes to new construction and make sure in that construction is holding all that. We have a lot of experience and knowledge on the planning board staff, and it is another area that the public can come to and express their opinion and concerns towards the planning board. Obviously, you know, we know from a fact there are some current issues, but planning board has already controlled that decision. Speaking about the planning board, we have a new planning board secretary. Her name is Itzel Torres. Mary Hauer is moving to the fire department as a secretary. Ms. Torres has been quickly learning from Mary, and Mary is still in the city and only a phone call away. She told us that last night. Ms. Torres did a great job last night, a little hard on the pronunciations of some of our last names, but I think overall
They're not all easy ones.
did a very good one. Yeah, Mr. Loppengeyer had a rough one, but it was all good last night. A lot of knowledge. Next zoning board will be September 7th at 6 o'clock. September 11th, planning board at 6:30 as of right now. Other than that, I believe that is all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes, thank you. We were out again once this week with the community policing unit. Had a pop-up play street in Wood School. It was hot, but had snow cones, cotton candy, everything normally out there for the kids. Had a good show. Had one of the state trooper mounted patrols out there. Even the horse enjoyed a good cold snow cone. Thanks to the community policing unit for what you guys do. They're winding down. Summer's winding down. School's starting, so they'll go back to work in the schools and stuff. As far as my department goes, I want to thank everybody who showed up tonight in support for the one item that was taken care of in the work session. And with that being said, I have the monthly public safety reports. Just want to touch base on them real quick. Calls for service. On the EMS side, 618 calls. On the fire department side, 128 calls. On the PD, once again, 3,265 calls last month. Please recognize our officers and thank them when you see them out in the streets. They're working hard. Now, I want to touch base real quick on our dirt bikes and four-wheelers. As most of you know, those that are also watching, this commission brought forward an ordinance last year. All you folks have to do, because you know our hands are tied, we're not just saying this, they're tied on the legal side. The other day, I was on my way to Lowe's. I decided to stop at the Wawa at Main and Sharp. There were 14 dirt bikes and four-wheelers there. Some were being fueled. I walked inside and I introduced myself to the manager. While I was on my phone to dispatch, they dispatched a car. Again, the PD can do nothing to the riders on the bikes. They cannot pursue. They cannot try to stop. But this commission put into effect a $250 per vehicle unregistered that's being gassed at a gas station. I didn't have to give my name. I did because I'm the director. No resident has to give their name when they call the police department. It's simple. You don't even have to be there when the police department arrives, because the officers will go in, they will review the cameras, they will write the summons. The summons does not go to the rider because they were already gone. It goes to the manager at the gas station, which is written to either the Wawa Corporation, the Shell, whoever owns or leases the gas station. You can be anonymous. Let's go after this, folks. I see it all the time. Four-wheelers, dirt bikes, four-wheelers, dirt bikes. We do have one tool in our pocket. Let's start using it. With that, thank you. And now I would like to receive and file the monthly reports for EMS, fire, inspection, code, and Millville PD stats for the months of July 2023.
Second.
All right, who was that?
Vice Mayor.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file fire and police reports for the month of July 2023. Comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Commissioner Watson?
Yeah, I do have a report from Streets and Roads. They're currently working on storm basin repair at the retention pond basin. No address. All retention ponds at Manor Estates have been cut and cleaned. The storm pipe repair at Four Seasons have been repaired. The storm pipe replacement has been completed at Bogdan Boulevard and Malone. Brush collection will start September 5th. Now is the time to put your brush out. Streets and Roads will make one pass, and if anybody has any questions, please feel free to call 856-825-7000, extension 7388. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Mayor?
Yes, second clarifier on the sewer plant came online yesterday, so we're watching that, watching the tank, make sure everything works fine there. It'll take a little while to make sure that it's all working right, a few weeks, equalize the plant. Next, the rescue demo will be beginning soon. There was an order to proceed to the contractor so that we can finally get that torn down. I never thought that would take 19 months to get done, but unfortunately it does. Sarp Street, while that is a county road, that is a city improvement. It's on the crosswalks and sidewalks. So engineering inspector is also out there every day. So they're keeping an eye on all that. And as he said, it's a little easier to keep track of what those guys are doing as opposed to what other developers are doing. We work hard to make sure that developers maintain their compliance with our rules. It's if they don't do it right, it becomes a big pain in the neck for the homeowners and an extremely huge cost to the city later on after we accept the infrastructure. So that's one of the reasons we do it for every taxpayer as well for the residents that live there. So engineering covered enough, so with that progress.
Thank you. All right.
I got to receive and file the tax collector's report. We do need those.
Second motion.
A motion second to receive and file tax collector's report for the month of July. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you. All right, Parks and Public Property. Over the last 2 weeks, the department has been working very hard cutting grass throughout the city. Like, the grass is growing like crazy. So we do get a little bit of rain here and there. Just want to thank all the employees of the Parks Department for working through some of these really hot days and getting it done. Please continue to stay hydrated. It's not fun out there. I was standing out in the field today at the lakeside and I was just like drenched and I didn't do anything. So These guys are putting a lot of work in, so thank you. Upcoming events, tomorrow will be the last Play Streets event. The theme is back to school. I don't know why they would name it back to school. Nobody really wants to go back to school. I mean, the parents might want the kids to go back to school, but the kids don't really want to go back. But it should be a fun time. Stop out Pine Street from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And thank you to many of the partners who have helped make this year super successful. I know the marching band will actually be there tomorrow performing for Play Streets. They did their end of band camp performance today for alumni and parents, and they did a really great job. They got really lucky with the heat over the last week, and they had a really great job. Looking forward to their first performance and getting to perform on the new field at Wheaton Field. So that's tomorrow. Our last fourth Friday will take place August 25th at Buck Park from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Come out, enjoy great music, vendors, treats, and much more. Hopefully we have decent, cool weather. And we have a really great event coming up. It's new to this year. It's the Holly City Fest. I think they're still taking registration if anybody wants to set up a table. The street will be shut down from Main Street to Broad Street on Saturday, Saturday, August 26th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have a lot of fun, free, exciting activities. Face painting, henna tattoos, obstacle courses, lots of great stuff. And of course, we always have music at our events, so they'll be there too. Lastly, our 9/11 ceremony will take place on Monday, September 11th at 6:30 at Buck Park. Please join us as we remember those who lost their lives that day for our country. Last year was at the fire department, so please note the change in location. It is at Buck Park this year. That's all I have for this evening. Moving on to ordinances under the second reading, please.
Alrighty. Item 1 is an ordinance amending Millville City Code, Chapter 11, Bureau of Permits and Inspections, so as to add a new Article 15, state-mandated lead paint inspections.
If I may,
Sure.
on this ordinance, I realize this is second reading and there is a public comment. I have my laptop here, my personal laptop. I'm looking at this ordinance. It's only 4 pages taken out of a 24-page New Jersey state regulation. I'm going to request that we table this till we can get some more answers. First off, why, how? This calls for a $100 fee to register for the tenant, for the landlords, for houses built before 1978. I question the price. The state calls for $20. So I'm going to request that we can have time to visit this, and then if so, if it's correct or is updated to be correct, we can bring it back at the next meeting.
There's a motion to table if anybody wants to second that.
Make a motion.
Motion to table this to review
Okay, so there was
all documents, making sure that I guess you want to make sure we're in compliance to New Jersey, or
To the New Jersey state law
is
that
compliance to what we're
referenced.
redoing?
No, that we are in compliance with the New Jersey state law, which is 24 pages long, which we're only seeing 4.
So if I can just question clerk and solicitor, if we are given this through the state, we just basically adopt what they're giving us, correct? Or is there something that we changed within our ordinance?
I think there's discretion as to the amount of the fee.
Yes.
And so I think what he's saying is that we ought to look at it because is $100 too much?
$80 too much.
Well, technically, we have a motion to table. I'm not supposed to comment.
Yeah.
We're seeing how we're doing that. An inspector's not gonna go out there for $20.
Our inspectors don't go out there.
Correct. You're not gonna get a contracted inspector to go out there for $20, I don't think, to look for lead paint and spend an hour at a house. This is the second reading of this ordinance. So we've had a little while to clear up any problems.
Well, that's the issue. We've had a little while. Some residents have reached out. Yes, they didn't come talk to us.
So there's a motion to table. So if there wasn't a second,
There was a second.
oh, excuse me, there was a second. So I need to have a roll call to, if anybody else wants to
Table.
table.
You need to vote on that.
Okay, so the motion was made by Commissioner Hewitt, seconded by Commissioner Watson. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
to
table this until
resolution-
further-
the ordinance on second reading, item 1. Roll call.
Roll call, please.
Okay. Commissioner Hewitt,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui,
No.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
No.
Mayor Orndorff?
No, I believe that we would have, I can't comment, never mind, sorry.
Okay, so this motion fails. Right. Thank you, Brock.
Now someone needs to make a motion to approve the ordinance and then open it for public hearing.
I make a motion to approve the ordinance in the second reading on item number 1.
Second motion.
A motion and a second on item number 1. Any comments?
Yes. I'll make it simple and easy. Cut and dry. Who brought this ordinance forward? This is why my initials are on everything that I bring forward, so there's no questions.
Well, this
Can
would have
some-
been a state requirement that the lead paint, so maybe the question that needs to be posed is who changed the amount of
Who
the
changed the
fee?
amount and who brought it
That would be a
forward?
valid question, I think.
Correct.
I believe what you'll find is that meetings occurred between the fifth floor, the solicitor, and probably the administrator to get this done and get in compliance with state law. I know when the fee was discussed, we had to make sure that we had a fee that was commensurate with what somebody would actually do inspections for. So in other words, if we told you to go inspect a house, and I don't know where your office would be, but say you had to go, whatever, to Pine Street, you're gonna spend more than $20 to get to Pine Street, so why would you bother taking the job and doing the inspection?
Okay.
Correct. As I may speak, it is, we looked at other municipalities nearby and we based our prices off of what other municipalities close to us, as we looked at Vineland and we looked at Bridgeton specifically. It is in conjunction of what the state has required us to do to all lead paint surfaces. It is very detailed and encompassing it. So I agree with what Vice Mayor is trying to say and initiate, is that it's going to take time. It's a third party that's going to have to get contracted out. It's a very detailed, in-depth process that has to be done per the state of New Jersey, and that's what the prices are going to be. This is the second reading of it.
How does it work for each individual space, like a hotel or apartment or? Like,
This is for rentals
Right, correct. I understand
that
that. But like
are
if you have multiple areas,
built prior to 1978, which likely, unless they were completely rehabbed, they have lead. What we are discussing here is not a fee that the city charges. It's not a fee for a contractor to go out. This is a state registration fee that the landlords must pay. My question is, why are we passing an ordinance that our landlords are going to pay $100 to the state when the state, on page of 24, I have the entire thing up here. It's 24 pages long. Goes through everything. This is not for any inspector or person to go out for. Based investigations and enforcement. That's the laws for not being registered.
You got administrative cost in there? We do have to keep track of all this stuff.
There is no administrative cost on
We'd
it.
have to pay administrative costs.
The landlord is responsible for this.
We have to make sure it's done. The landlord's not gonna do it
The
unless
state
we
makes
make
sure
it.
it's done.
It's a third party that actually
But
will
they're
be
going, they're
the
doing it.
inspection.
Right.
Okay, well, let it ride. The landlords that have questioned me, you've got your answer. Deal with it appropriately.
We have roll call, please.
No, you need a public hearing.
Oh, geez, your public hearing. Side note, back to public hearing on the item number 1. If there's anybody who has questions or concerns on this item, please come to the podium and state those. Seeing nobody, will close the public hearing and go to any closing comments of commissioners or concerns. Anybody has any comments before we go to roll call? Good. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
No.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
no.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 2 is an ordinance releasing property located at 311 North 5th Street, Millville, New Jersey, from affordable housing deed restrictions.
Move the ordinance on second reading.
Second motion.
I have a motion second on item number 2. There's a public hearing for this as well. If anybody has questions or concerns, please come to the podium and state those concerns. Seeing nobody, we'll close the public hearing, go to comments of commissioners. Seeing nobody. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 3 is an ordinance authorizing amendment to motor vehicle and traffic regulations, Municipal Code, Article 10, Schedule 21, to add parking reserved for handicapped persons at 230 South 3rd Street.
Make a motion?
Second motion.
Motion and second on item number 3. There is a public hearing as well. If anybody has questions or concerns, please come to the podium and state those. Seeing nobody, will close the public hearing. Any comments of commissioners?
I just have one. We issue a lot of these things to give them out. Do we ever do anything to collect them when the person moves? Something we may want to consider in the future.
It's a good question. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Ordinance is under the first reading, please.
All right. Item 1 is an ordinance repealing Millville Code, Chapter 30, Land Use Regulations, Article 18, Special Use Design and Performance Standards, Section 30 to 203, Home Animal Agriculture, Subsection C5, Apiaries.
Move the resolution.
Second motion.
It's an ordinance. Sorry.
Ordinance.
Thank you.
Sorry.
We have a motion and a second on item number 1. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
The motion carries. Item 2 is an ordinance authorizing the City of Millville to acquire property known as 1110 Buckshootum Road, East, Block 221, Lot 1476, additional Lot 1477, through deed in lieu of foreclosure.
Move the motion on ordinance in the first reading. Item number 2.
Second motion.
Motion second on ordinance item number 2. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 3 is an ordinance authorizing the City of Millville to acquire property known as 1114 Buckshootum Road East, Block 221, Lot 1478, additional lots 1479 to 1480, through deed in lieu of foreclosure.
Move the ordinance on first reading.
Second motion?
Motion second on item number 3. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Motion carries. The next item is an ordinance amending the salary ordinance to add the following new administration title and compensation: business manager with a minimum of $40,000 and a maximum of $80,000.
Move the ordinance on first reading.
Second motion.
Motion and second on item number 4. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Consent agenda items, please.
Okay, all matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the Board of Commissioners and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a governing body member so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Item 1 is a resolution authorizing a special assessment to recoup costs to the city for the partial demolition of an unsafe structure at the property of 12-14 South 9th Street pursuant to 11-6 of the Municipal Code. Item 2 is resolution authorizing a special assessment to recoup costs to the city for the emergency sewer line maintenance at 800 Cedar Street, Carlton House Apartments pursuant to Section 11-6 of the Municipal Code. Item 3 is a resolution authorizing adjustments in the tax and utility records. Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the insertion of an additional item of revenue in the calendar year 2023 budget, which is now available from the State of New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety in the form of HTS State Pedestrian Safety Enforcement and Education Fund in the amount of $6,430. And I just need a motion to approve these items.
Make a motion to approve all consent agenda items.
Second motion?
Motion and second on approving all consent agenda items. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolutions, please.
Okay, item 1 is a resolution of support for the suitability of cannabis business with Centugo of Franklin Park LLC at Block 264, Lot 10, 1401 Wheaton Avenue.
Move the resolution on item number 1.
Second motion.
I have a motion and second on resolution item number 1. Any comments? I'm going to make my comments. After sitting through our planning board meeting last night of 3 cannabis companies, I just ask that if you receive your license through the state, please come to the board prepared and with all of the report, all the stuff from the engineering report that you'll comply with, because it's a lengthy process, and it's all new to the city. It's new to the state, and we're learning as we go. And I hope you have a successful business. Hope you get your license. But I'm just asking that when you come before the planning board, that you are completely prepared with all of the information that we're asking that's required from the city as well as the state, so we can move through that process smoothly.
I understand that there's been a wide variety of operators that you're getting. So many people want to do it. So different levels of professionalism, I suppose, is maybe the right word. So we hope our groups, we've been successful. We're pretty buttoned up, as far as.
Yes, there's been a lot of concern. I mean, we've had residents come to both regular meetings and the planning board meetings. So obviously the biggest one last night that, Commissioner Romick and myself heard was the smell. And we've gotten different testimony from different companies. So we want to do what's best for the community. We want to do what's best for the city as financially. We know it's a revenue income for us that will help us. But we also are thinking about our community as well and making sure that we're not stinking it up, if anybody say it that way. So I just ask that you come before the board prepared after that long meeting. That's all the comments I have. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
No.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 2 is a resolution amending resolution number 24-2023 and resolution number 160-2023 to reassign backup department directors.
Make motion?
Second motion.
I have a motion and second on resolution item number 2. Any comments? When we do this, were we supposed to speak amongst ourselves to make sure that we're okay with who we're switching with? And we've done this multiple times.
We didn't speak the last time we did it, and we're not allowed to speak amongst ourselves unless somebody starts questioning it up here right now. Because we're not allowed to meet with more than one commissioner at any time unless we're in a scheduled official meeting.
I
There was no discussion
understand that.
before.
I know. I understand that. I just wanted to see why we were looking to switch the current backups.
Myself, the reason I'm bringing this forward, as people know, I spent some time in the hospital, had to miss a meeting. I have spoken with my chiefs, I've spoken with my personnel, and I'm just trying to line things up in case I wind up back in there for a longer time. That's all.
I'd make one comment. It's kind of good for
Everybody
those that
learn.
don't have any experience in different departments to switch it up once in a while too, so they can find out what's going on in other departments. I know some of you aspire to other political office and perhaps here again, further somewhere else, and it's all good experience for whoever decides to do that.
Which is what was stated the last time, basically, and I agree.
Oh, it was just a question. That's all. I appreciate you guys explaining and your explanation. I understand, and I think that's important that if we want to learn other departments, it's fine. I just need a roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 3 is a resolution authorizing an amendment to services contract with Verbel LLC for information technology management and voice over internet phone services to award an additional amount of $65,000 to provide additional services for IT staffing coverage.
Move the resolution. I have certification of funds in the amount of $27,083.35. Only amounts for the 2023 budget year have been certified. Amounts for future years are contingent upon sufficient funds being appropriated. Signed by our CFO, Marcella Shepherd.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second on resolution item number 3. Any comments?
Yeah, I just want to explain one more thing. In addition to some of this money coming out of IT, because it's IT and because it's another person that is available throughout the city to operate within the different departments, different line items have been used under different departments, part of the IT to cover that cost.
And I'd like to add, I did in the beginning when this was discussed, the gentleman that will be here will also be maintaining the computer systems, the screens and everything, all the technology in our vehicles.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 4 and 5 have been removed. Item 6 is a resolution awarding Franklin J. Riesenberger Esquire of the firm Blaster Greenberg as environmental counsel for a 1-year term from January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2023, in an amount not to exceed $60,000.
Move the resolution. I have certification of funds in the amount of $60,000, signed by Marcella Shepherd, our CFO.
Second motion.
Motion and second on resolution item number 6. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 7 is a resolution authorizing the tax collector to accept an installment payment plan for water sewer connection fees with Innovation Foods LLC in the amount of $240,220 in 11 equal quarterly installments of $20,018.33 each, beginning October 1st, 2023, and one final installment of $20,018.37.
Move the resolution.
Second motion.
Motion and second on resolution number 7. Any comments?
Yes, it's, this installment plan was rendered as we came in office again. There was no connection fees being, they weren't connected from there because we charge a certain amount until we determine what exactly amount of water or sewer will be produced. And then once we determine that, then we charge the company. As you can see, this is a nice amount of money for the hookup, and it all depends on the water usage and sewer generation.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 8 is a resolution authorizing to eliminate the requirement for claimant certifications for all vendors except payments that exceed the current bid threshold, the advance or reimbursement of employee expenses, or for services provided exclusively and entirely by an individual, including sole proprietors.
Move the motion on resolution item number 8.
Second motion.
I have motion and second on resolution number 8. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 9 is a resolution approving deed notice as to certain city-owned property known as Block 461, Lot 1.
Make a motion on resolution item number 9.
Second the motion.
Motion and second on resolution number 9. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 10 was removed in the work session, and our last item, 11, is a resolution to appoint Miguel Mercado to serve as Public Agency Compliance Officer in accordance with the New Jersey Administrative Code.
Move the resolution.
Second motion.
Motion and second on resolution number 11. Any comments or questions, excuse me? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Motion carries.
No new business this evening.
New business.
Public comment. We have now reached public comment portion of the meeting. If you would like to address the commission, please come before the podium. State your name, your concerns. Please limit those comments to 5 minutes.
Hi there, I'm Eric Nyman. I have ran the Wildflower Cafe at 501 North High Street for the past 13 years in Millville. And God, you guys have a thankless job in general. I don't want your job, but let me thank you all in some capacity. I'll tell you, 3 of the city commissioners talked to me about what I'm going to talk about right away. I very much appreciate that. The one gentleman at least shot me a quick email response saying it was inappropriate for him to talk, and one I hadn't heard back from, a few phone calls and emails.
Excuse me, Eric, before you start, I know where this is going, and I'm going to just go right to our solicitor.
Yeah, when there's an appeal of a zoning board hearing, It's governed by the municipal land use law, specifically 40:55D-17. And I want to read into the record what the statute says. It says, "Such appeal shall be decided by the governing body only upon the record established before the Board of Adjustment." And what that means is that we're not supposed to have a public hearing. That already occurred before the Board of Adjustment. And I think at our last meeting, there was someone else that came and during the public portion wanted to address the same issue, and I had to caution him and tell him you can't address the issue because the body of commissioners will be sitting in a quasi-judicial capacity, and its consideration is limited to what's before the board. So what does that mean? That means somebody can't say now, well, gee, there's other evidence that I have that's better than what I presented before, and I want you to look at it. So that's the problem, because if you address the board now, I don't know what you're going to say or who you're going to support, I can guess, but I don't know that for a fact. But it would not be fair for the board to consider that, and in fact, it's not pursuant to the statute.
Sure, but counsel, this is a public comment portion of the general meeting, and I am the public, right? I own a business in town, so if you don't mind, you can
But you
strike this
can't-
from the record if
but
you need.
can't convert it into a hearing, which is what you're trying to do.
No.
Well,
Please
you
hear
are.
me out, and if you feel it's inappropriate, ask everyone to disregard it, right? I'll dive right into it.
Excuse me,
I
Eric,
would
before
just
you...
ask you not to comment about the pending application before this board, which is scheduled for a special hearing at the request, I might add, of the applicants or the applicant's attorney who was not available on another date when everyone else was. That's when this is scheduled, August the 22nd.
All right, I'll just speak in generalities then and introduce myself and some general issues, and is that all right?
It's not all right if you're going to comment on pending application. Is that what
And
you're gonna
Eric, you
comment
have
on?
already mentioned that you emailed each and every one of us and had certain conversations. That email is pertaining to that case, so if you're going to speak on those emails that you sent in the comments, then you solicitor is asking that you not comment as it's pertaining to the case, and you're not allowed to.
Well, respectfully, solicitor and some members of the city council have done some things that are under legal review, so may I please speak, Mayor?
If you choose to speak not to the matter, that is
Very good.
under litigation.
You got
and
it.
I will stop you if I feel that there is any blurred
Okay.
lines.
I'll just talk about myself and my business and the town and do what you want with it, okay? So, first let's start with something about the town. I've been here over 13 years. I'm gonna rattle off a few establishments. The Madrigal, the Looking Glass, the Artist Consortium, Across the Pond, Artistic Touch Beads, the Arts Cafe, the Megabyte Cafe, the Lotus Trading Company, Gina's Ristorante, Dory's Italian, Andrea's Trattoria, Winfield's, the Refrigerator Door Gallery, the Ivy Chaya Studios, Guilty Pleasures, Glasstown Arts Glass, Something Sweet by Sherry, Casa de Zeus Wine Shed, Dewdrop Inn, the Dream Builders Network LLC, The Incredible Bulk, The Bolt's Gym, Regional Music, Steelman's, Bogart's. These are all places that in the past 10 to 15 years opened and closed on High Street. We have something like a 50% vacancy rate on High Street. You guys are doing a good job helping clean things up, and I see the homeless problem has been, I'm seeing progress. Let me acknowledge the good work that the city is doing. But let's not pretend that this is an easy town to run a business in. And I'm not trying to cry saying that my business is so hard, but it has been at times, and we've seen a lot of places come and go. I mean, Wildflower's open 7 days a week. We've been continuously operating for, almost 13 years right on High Street in Millville. We have dozens of positive news articles published
Can I
about
ask you a
us.
question real quick? Excuse me. You have interest in the property because you're leasing from them, correct? If that's been brought to our attention,
I'm trying not to
solicitor?
address that issue, though, Mayor.
Solicitor?
Well, let him continue. I think he has 5 minutes to
Okay,
say what he
if
wants to.
you're okay, 5 minutes.
And what
go
he's
ahead.
done so far is fine, so I would suggest.
Thank
I
you.
just wanted
I'm
to
trying to
make
play
sure.
by the rules.
I understood. I just wanted to make sure, sir.
We're open 7 days a week. We have dozens of positive news articles published about us. We feed hundreds of people every month, thousands of people every year. We buy thousands of pounds of local produce and feed that to people. I think we're doing a good thing. Our reviews online are very good. The Chamber of Commerce gave us a Pride in Millville Partnership Award a few years ago because we do play nice with the local government and other businesses and trying to do some good things in the area. We've had, people try to pull us out of Millville and set us up with bigger places in Vineland before. We've stuck it out here, and until recently, I'd say the city has been fantastic and cooperative, and even in the issue we're not supposed to talk about, I'd say there has been a degree of professionalism and respect. So I will not directly address the issue. I don't want to waste anyone's time. I don't want to make this harder on anyone. Might have to rephrase a little bit so no one not set anything off here. But effectively, you, the city commissioners, and some city employees are telling me you have to put on this cloak of impartiality and you can't be swayed or influenced in the upcoming special session on the 22nd, but some of you have already made comments against the project, the Reese's House Community Center, 66 Sassafras Street. So how can you undo that?
Sir,
how
that's
can
not
you undo
true.
that?
And in fact, we've received a lot of emails and correspondence from people acting on behalf of one of the parties, which is improper. And the point is, we have to follow the rules. And if there was someone here that maybe disagreed with you tonight and had a lengthy period of time to try to influence the board, and perhaps one of the other parties wasn't notified, didn't know there was going to be a hearing tonight, I don't think that would be fair or appropriate. The problem is we have to comply with the law. The municipal land use law says there's this thing called the record, and it was the record created at a public hearing before the Board of Adjustment. And we're stuck with this. If this is probably not going to be the last stop on this, because no matter what we do, pretty good idea that this is going to go on to the Superior Court, and at the Superior Court it's the same thing. If you go into Judge Telsey's courtroom and tell Judge Telsey, I want to address you on this appeal, he would tell you to sit down. And it's this board, when it acts as a judge, it's in the same situation. It's not allowed to consider something outside the record. That's what you want to do. You want us to consider something outside the record, and we can't do that. We're not permitted to do it. I think there was someone here last week, or the last meeting, who I suspect, I don't know, he never got to it, where he wanted to, I think, take a position either in support or against the application, and we had to cut him off. We can't do that. It's not fair. There hasn't been notice. And we're stuck with what the record says. And so you want to influence the board, and that's not appropriate because we're limited to what's contained in the record pursuant to the municipal land use law.
And I hope that's what happens, because I'm watching this. A lot of people are watching this very closely, and I hope the city does things properly.
Thank you,
And
sir. Your time is up for this evening. We've had 8 minutes.
Council took a lot of my time here, Mayor.
You
Come
spoke
on.
for over.
Well, your
However,
last comment was over the line, so I think that we've heard
that was over the line, and that's where he stopped.
Respectfully, I just ask that you dismiss the appeal and let it go to
Excuse me,
Superior.
sir. Thank you.
Hi, Cindy Cook, Balleen, Millville. I just wanted to inform everybody we have officially received the report of the point-in-time survey. For those that do not know, the point-in-time survey takes place on January 24th. It is a nationwide survey that is done to count the homeless across the country. I have the results for Cumberland County and for Millville. First of all, in Cumberland County, there's only one municipality that is below us in the number of homeless in percentage by population, and that is Salem County. They have a population of, the percentage of homeless by their population is 1%. We are at 2%, as well as there's several other counties. We have areas in New Jersey, like Essex County, that has a homeless population of 14% of their entire population. So we're doing pretty darn good. Now, according to the survey, like I said, this was taken for the night of January 24th. On that night, we determined, and the police and everybody, teams go out even into the woods and count people. They go out to wherever they know the homeless are staying. On that night, Cumberland County had a total of 164 homeless people. 33 of these people were unsheltered, meaning they had no place to sleep except in a tent, and that's in January. 131 of these individuals were sheltered. 59% of these individuals were males, 41% were female. 16% were children under the age of 18. 24% were over the age of 55. 23% had been homeless for more than a year, which is chronically homeless. 45% identified as having a disability, either physical or mental. So there is where you get an idea of where these people are at. That's almost half admitted that they had a disability.
Cindy, if I may, real quick, I just want to give you the public numbers on what you said about the percentage. Salem County population in 2021 has 65,046 residents, and you said they were at 1% of the total population, correct? And for Cumberland County population in 2021, we had 153,627 residents. So for what you said previously a couple minutes ago, that's
yeah. I'm just
great.
reading from the official report I got, hon.
Correct.
That's all I can do.
Thank you, Cindy.
I'm not
Continue.
a mathematician. But this is prepared from Monarch Housing. Individuals, okay. 25 of these individuals were chronically homeless. 9 of them were from the ages of 18 to 24. 25 of these individuals were the victims of domestic violence. 2% of Cumberland County population is homeless. Now, the bad news is, from last year, this is an increase of 33%. This has been true throughout New Jersey. New Jersey has, as I stated last week, an extreme housing problem for affordable housing for people. I've got several families, which means they can be more, doesn't mean there's kids involved, that are living in cars, that have an income. There's a 1 and 2 year wait for housing at some of these places. I mean, I had one guy lose his home because he had cardiac surgery, and it took a while before his disability check came in. He's been living in his car now since March. And the police have been very nice in helping me with him. But the thing is, this is nothing new. If they get one eviction notice from someplace, they're not eligible for housing. I've got somebody that's in that situation. We've got lawyers on it because she was illegally evicted. One eviction notice, somebody say they were evicted, they can't get into a place to live. This is sad. Our situation here in Millville was, on this date, we had 23 homeless people, 7 of them were sheltered, and 16 of them were unsheltered. Bridgeton had 32 people, and 25 of them were sheltered, 7 not. Vineland had 108 compared to us. 98 of them were sheltered, and 10 of them were not. So agencies across New Jersey are facing unprecedented difficulties and getting vouchers and getting housing for people. That is one of our main issues.
Thank you, Cindy.
Mary Messick here of Millville. Somewhat of what Cindy said I'm going to bounce off of. I know for a fact that if for some odd reason, if, say, a person who was in a family and now decides because of their age, they're going to go on their own, if that household had an eviction, that eviction also includes them, because when you fill out applications to rent a house, you have to list everybody that's going to be in that household. And it doesn't matter if the father was listed as the main person or the mother was listed as the main person. Everyone in that household has that little tag along with them that says, you've been evicted. You may not tell the next place that you're renting that there's been an eviction, but it'll come back and it'll show up. Somehow or another, something needs to be done within that thing. But on another note, Mayor, you said you were wondering why they call it back to school night. The very last day of Play Streets, it's a barbecue, but before Play Streets ends, all the children get book bags that are filled with the fundamental basic school supplies in order to start school. That's why they always call the very last night back to school night.
That's awesome.
And I'm grateful that this commission has heard the cries, not only of what the department heads have said about different things, but they've heard also from the people. And I'm glad that this commission has actually opened up and has heard what the people have said. I've said this time and time again. The people need the city and the city need the people. And we have to listen to one another. We may not agree all the time, and we're not going to disagree all the time. But when we do listen, we're going to find out a lot of different things. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Seeing nobody else, would close the public comment for this evening. Any closing comments of commissioners, please? Commissioner Romanek?
Mayor, at this time, I believe not. See you all on September something.
Jeannie, when's the next meeting? Mr.
Next Tuesday.
The next Tuesday is technically when we'll all be together,
August
but
22nd.
There you go.
Next meeting.
September 5th.
I think it's 5th, yeah.
That's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Watson.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to let me grow and, kind of be involved with different parts of the city. I'm really proud and really honored to have the opportunity to work with Commissioner Hewitt and Public Safety. Hope to get to know you guys a little bit better, and that's all I really have to say. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Come here. I was going to go down and come back, but that's fine. Come in, Hewitt.
Once again, Commissioner Watson, you've been to the department. Almost everybody's been to the police, to the fire department. Everybody's always welcome there, and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
That'll be all, Mayor. Thank you.
I appreciate you having your business in town, and I was the one that didn't respond to your emails, nor did I respond to any emails with that subject matter because of the hearing. I also didn't return phone calls because of that hearing once that was appealed. So I wanted to let you know why I didn't respond to those. That is the reason why. And with that progress.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody that came out. Thank you again to our engineering team that came out and did a very informative presentation for Four Seasons. That was like, I know it's season something. Why am I having a moment here? And just thank you to everybody who came out tonight. And it's always supportive. It's good to hear opinions and ideas. Thank you to the board, our commissioners working together, and everybody that works in the city. Thank you to everybody. See you in a few weeks, or actually next week. Just need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.